This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Kayvon Kay, Master of Closing, welcome to the show.
David, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
So I got to give you a ton of credit, my friend. I've heard so many great things about you, and I think you are one of the few, genuinely few, high integrity, one call close experts.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to agree to such a great compliment, but I think it really comes down to my past and being the way I was raised. And integrity was, it's part of my culture. I always believe that if you don't have your integrity, what do you really have? Because your integrity is everything. The integrity comes from that trust. It comes from that loyalty. It comes from the having the ability and the strength to put your heart on the sleeve and knowing that even though you might get hurt or you might hear a no, you have the strength to keep moving forward and you don't have to fall down any loopholes or these traps to get, ahead in life.
Absolutely.
So I had a mentor that always said to me, Kavon, because I unfortunately, I wasn't, and I don't even say unfortunately, my parents gave me the best they could with the little resources they had. And I always had this dream that maybe if I married rich, right? Or if I had, a girlfriend whose father was in business could help me and show me the way. And I remember a mentor told me once, he said, Kayvon, that is the most backward words thinking I've ever heard. And I said, well, how come? And he said, you see, when other people give it to you, so AKA you get married, you have at any given time, it could be taken away from you. But when you work for it, and Kayvon, you're going to work hard for it. And it's going to take a longer time than you would if you just got it. But when you get there, which you will, nobody will be able to take it away from you. It's yours. And I always lived by that philosophy. And I don't believe anybody could get there without being, having integrity. Having integrity, but also having good character. Again, with good virtues.
Karma is out there, always watching.
It is. I believe there's karma, and then some people don't have it. Some people do, and it works in mysterious ways. And let's just say, for the sake of it is out there, I'd rather just be on the good side of it. If it is out there, I'd rather be on the good side of it.
Talk for a little bit about how you came to what you're doing today in the sales world, because I'm sure there's a fun backstory that got you into what you're doing today after some left turns, right turns, wrong turns, and right turns.
So if we were to actually rewind all the way back when I actually was in elementary school, all the way up to grade 1, right away in my first, I actually repeated grade 1. They labeled me with every letter in the book, ADD, ADHD, LD. They said I had learning disabilities in reading, writing, math, and communication. David, what's left? Phys ed? Like, come on now, right? Like, basically saying I'm stupid. And literally from that moment, I always found myself always having to sell. Like always in a defense kind of mode, but instead of coming from a negative defense, it was always coming from more of a positive. How can I win? I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove to you you're wrong. But it always kind of came in a selling manner. And by time I was 16, I was 15, 16, I had my first sales job selling Aldo shoes, working with my uncle in his furniture store. And then by time I was 19, I was well into selling hard goods for ski and snowboard. I ended up being a sales representative for some of the largest brands globally. And then I got into recruiting mortgage brokers, and that got me into the real estate industry and speaking. And then my last biggest corporate job was working for the largest pharmaceutical company. Now, I was working with a company, the largest generic company globally, and I was the #1 sales rep across my country in Canada. I had the life. David, you know the life, right? Literally working 1 day a week. I had a plus 6-figure salary, company car. I had the credit card. The corporate credit card. I had it all, but I was miserable. I was miserable because no matter if it was a school system or if it was the corporate system, they all wanted me to be someone I wasn't. They all wanted me to conform. I had to get in line, and I wasn't ever someone who. It's not that I like to stand out, but I definitely don't like to stand in line. And I would just found myself miserable playing the corporate world, the rat race, and playing all the politics, and it wasn't for me. And I had that. I believe, David, in every entrepreneur's life, I believe there comes a moment, there comes a breaking point where an employee or someone turns or an entrepreneur turns into the actual big business owner they've always wanted to be. And for me, that was just a week of just like a tornado, a hurricane coming into my life, finding out that, again, the corporate job, so they were getting acquired, commissions were changing. Found out my dad had cancer. My sister's husband just had left my two nieces. I had relationship issues. I was getting evicted out of my house because the landlord wanted. I mean, it was just a slew. And in that moment, I realized that if I was ever going to make a change, it had to be then. Like, it was that moment where I said, this is where most people don't even get this opportunity to reinvent themselves, let alone actually take action on it. And I knew at that point, I was just, they say, so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was so beaten down at that point, just emotionally, spiritual, physically, that I was willing to die of any form of the man I was so I could finally birth the man I was becoming. And through that was always something bigger, something greater than who I was, something greater than, transcends all beyond us. And I went into the online space. So I saw the whole online craze, I always just laugh, like, learn how to make, the 6 figures in 6 weeks, right? All this stuff. And next thing you know, a year later, I'm $150,000 in debt. And again, that you talk about an investment and a commitment. I was committed. I was so in debt and I was so committed. There was people like, well, why don't you give up? Because you can't. At that point, there is no going back. You can only go forward. And I was fortunate enough to meet up with a mentor at that time. And he basically got me back in line and in harmony with who I was. You see, I was trying to be a speaker. I was trying to be an online coach, an online consultant. I was trying to do e-commerce and then affiliate marketing. And then I was doing MLM, doing all this shit. But the one thing I wasn't doing was my core genius. The one thing I wasn't doing was a thing that I'm actually great at, which is sales. Because I was so beaten up by the corporate world, I just had this vision that I don't want to do sales anymore because you only know what you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. And in this case, I didn't know anything outside of like corporate sales, medical sales. I'm like, where else can you, car sales? Like, I didn't know the secret world, which is now in this time we're talking is a whole different world. Now everyone knows it, which was high ticket selling. So my mentor just said to me, instead of trying to be the coach and the consultant, go close for them. And I said, what? Within 30 days, no, and this is those stories, right? You hear, but people don't understand. It wasn't the 30 days. It was a 30 years before those 30 days. But within those 30 days, I went from losing $25,000 a month to earning $25,000 a month. The month 2, 35, month 3, 45, up till 8 months later. Now I'm earning 6 figures a month like I've always dreamed of. But the core, the reason why is because I got in line with my genius. I found out who I was. And then the ironic part of all of it is, guess now what I do? I'm now a coach. I'm now a consultant. I now speak on, instead of trying to get on stages, people just call me to get on their stages. And I realize it's because you can't get on stage or become a coach or become a consultant or think you can become some influencer because you see everyone else doing it and you just feel like you deserve it. Unless you actually have a message, you have an experience, you have a transformation or a value you can actually provide to the marketplace, which isn't regurgitation of everyone else's bullshit. You know what I mean, right? I'm going to give you what I gave myself when I sit here and I say to you, Dan, how dare I? What gave me I'm ashamed of myself sometimes when I think that 2 years ago, I was worthy to stand on stage and speak about leadership when I couldn't even lead my own life. When I still today look back and I still wouldn't go stand on a stage and speak about leadership today because I haven't led myself enough yet to even become a master in it. But when it comes to sales, when it comes to closing, when it comes to going after your dreams, well, then that's where I can speak about. And I can speak with conviction, I can speak with certainty, and I can speak with clarity because I've been there. I've done it. I know it. I live it. I breathe it. I'm all things sales.
Hey, this interview is a real moneymaker. If you're serious about ramping up your reach and revenue as a speaker, trainer, or expert, book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team. The link is doitmarketing.com/call. It will be the most valuable 45 minutes you invest in your speaking-driven business. Speaking of value, let's get back to the show. You and I were just kidding around a little bit before we got the recording going about, I'm the guy behind the guy. Now, we could be the front guy.
You're the guy behind the guy.
Or sometimes we do three. Right. I'm the guy behind the guy behind the guy. But I think you and I are the same in this way, that we can be up front. And we're good. No question, we're good. But my real genius and your real genius, as you've discovered, is when you can be the engine, when you can be, use your unique talents where you're in your zone, you're in your, you're playing your A game, not your B plus game. And I'm in the same boat. I mean, this goes all the way back in my world. I'll give you a quick little insight of how I discovered this. I have an MFA in theater, but it's in directing. It's not in acting. Everyone's like, oh, you want to be an actor? No. Oh, well, you want to be like, you want to go to Hollywood and go to Broadway? No. I want to direct. I want to pull the best performance out of other people. I want them to be in the spotlight. I want me be in the audience going, you rocked it. You did it right. You're awesome. Try it this way. Do this. Don't do that. Say this. Don't say that, right? We have that coaching impulse. We have that helping impulse. And so I think there's so many ways to win in this business that if you think it has to be path A and you don't realize there's like many paths up the mountain, you're always going to struggle.
You just said it. And I say this all the time to a lot of, those skeptics out there, or those people, I've tried it, oh, that doesn't work. And I always say this, let me ask you. They're like, oh, I did this program. I go, okay, let me ask you. That program that you did it produce results for other people, yes or no? Well, yeah. Did you actually meet those people? Well, yeah, but it didn't work for you, correct? No. So let me ask you, did you fail the program or did the program fail you? Which one is it? And the reason is that I say this is most people, if the program is set up properly, and there's a lot of ones out there that just they don't do the job, right? But the ones that do the job, and you got to do your research and find what those ones are. Even though they're the best program out there, it might not be the best program for you and what you do. So I always tell people, you got to first find out, and again, you just tell people what you've learned. And I've learned is you got to find out what your core genius is, what it is that you're passionate about. What can you do if I dropped you in the middle of a forest and you had nothing but you and yourself? What could you do to make money? And for me, I was like, well, I can sell anything, right? I can sell anything. That's my genius. So now I just stay in it. Doesn't mean that I'm always day-to-day sales, but I now can teach it at a higher level. I can speak it at a higher level. I love the transformation of sales. I love taking people who think they knew what sales really was and showing them what real, and when I mean real sales, it's not about tactics and strategies and philosophies. I'm talking about the way someone becomes who you are when you embody that in the order for the world to move, a sale needs to happen. Henry Ford said it, nothing happens until someone sells something.
For sure. Well, let me paint the picture. Like our folks are going out and they're speaking and they say, hey guys, by the way, if you want a free 20-minute strategy session to help you apply some of the ideas, or they do the text response, right? Text handout to 555-1212. And they have all these ways of getting inbound calls. And then, especially if they're talking to an individual prospect, maybe for coaching or consulting, they start talking features and benefits. They start talking themselves out of a sale. So break us down from I'm on stage, I'm making an offer for a conversation all the way. What are all the mistakes and all the minefields at every phase of that?
Yeah, so you're really talking now exactly where I live. And you're talking about taking someone who might have saw you on stage or they saw your webinar, they've seen something, and you're now driving them to what we call is a strategy session, a booked call, a free jumpstart call. This is my bread and butter. This is where I live. So the most people, they set it up completely wrong out of the gate. Now, number one is who are you speaking to? With the world, the great world we live in, you don't need to do the qualifying. Your marketing, your email, your content, your copy should be doing the pre-qualifying, meaning this is who this call is set up for. This is who this call is not set up for. Once they book the call, what are you doing in between the time they book the call to the moment they actually get on the call with you? See, most people just have that automatic calendar and they just leave it. No, at the end of when they actually have booked the call with you, it should actually drive them to another page where there's a video where you're saying, you're not thanking them because you're a doctor, and we'll get into that. You're congratulating them. Congratulations on booking your call. Now, and you actually lay out what you expect for this call and what needs to happen. And that because of the amount of people that want to be booked with you, you only allow one call per person. So if you miss it or you reschedule it, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. And it's not some marketing scarcity tactic. It isn't. If you believe it is, it's actually, if you believe and trust in your and honor your own time, you won't let people, cancel on you. That's number one. Number two is when they get to the call. Well, who called who? You see, you call me. Because if I call you, I'm a salesperson. But I set up my calls where I tell them, step one, book your time. Step two, add me to this or call me at your designated time at this number. I get them to call me because when they call me, I'm now the expert. So right away, I went from being a salesperson to an expert. And then on the call, you just said it. The number one thing you never do is you never sound, act, be, or do traditional sales people. I talk about a pattern interrupt. And what you want to do is a pattern interrupt where you don't actually resemble a traditional salesperson. What does that mean? No pushing the features and benefits. In fact, your marketing should have already done that. So you shouldn't actually be talking to them at all about your product or what it is you do. They already know that. You're actually asking the right questions with finesse to get to the end result. And what I mean by that is you're asking questions for discovery, finding out who they are, why are they on the call. You see this when someone books a call with you, it's like you're the doctor. They don't book a call with you because they're just happy and all things are good. They're booking a call for you because they're actually in a pain right now, or they're going to be in future agony, future pain. That's it. You're never walking down the street and see your doctor's office and you're feeling 100% and go, you know what? I'm just going to walk right in. I'm just going to book a call just because. No. So you have to understand that. Now, a lot of prospects are the people that, even if you're qualified, they hold their poker hands very close to their chest. So they'll come on there and they will play and they'll act like everything's okay. But as a good closer, is what I teach, in my trainings is you have to have the ability to be able to break through those barriers without pushing them, without using traditional sales techniques. People, how do you do that? It's very simple. By asking the right questions and actually listening. See, a lot of sales or a lot of coaches I see, consultants and in digital agency and owners, they ask the questions because Kayvon told them to ask the questions. But they're not actually asking the questions for the right reasons. And they're not listening long enough so they can actually hear what the prospect's really saying. Not the words that are coming out of their mouths, but the tonality coming out of their mouth, the emotion, the pain, the struggle. Another thing is a lot of closers I see and business owners, when they're trying to close their prospects, they're too scared to go deep in the prospect's pain. The reason for that is because they're too scared to go deep in their own personal pain. They're not comfortable with themselves, let alone being able to get deep with someone else. They think, oh, I would never do that. Oh, that would insult them. Don't project your own bullshit on the prospect, ever.
Yeah, that's so profound. I mean, this is in a marketing sense. I say the similar thing to people all the time. They go, I say, okay, your speaking fee, Kavon, should be whatever. I mean, $15,000. And people go, oh, no. I would never pay that. Right. And let's listen to that. I'm not asking you to pay anything. I'm asking you to get 15,000 or to charge 15,000. What they hear because of that translation is, well, I would never pay another professional speaker $15,000. Not about you. It's not about you, and you are not your prospect. So when you talk about that projection, when you talk about the self-limiting beliefs, you talk about, oh, I could, that's a ridiculous statement to say I could never charge that much. You could charge as much as you want. You could charge $1 million a speech. I'm not saying you'll get it, but when you say I could never charge that much, what you're really saying is that my poverty mindset is saying I would never pay that much. Now, you and I both know, because we've paid coaches tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, that if you're with the right coach and the right mentor, every dollar comes back to you 10 times.
10 times.
So you're a huge investor in coaching. I'm a huge investor in coaching. Some of the folks that are listening to us, they might not be on that wavelength yet, and they have to understand that they are not their prospect, correct?
Yeah, there's two things we could talk about there, right? Is the power of a coach and how you got to invest in yourself ever. Like, you're right. I keep investing in myself, and people say, you're crazy. I go, yeah, but I'm also the one that makes a six-figure in 30 days. Do you? No, there's a reason, right? It's funny. I want to talk about this for a second because I'm hoping I get something from you. Because I think about that and I go, why does that traditional mindset, right? The employee kind of worker, even like a CEO, right? Like a VPs, they would never in the world invest into this, right? And then I think to myself, well, because they don't have to. It's because they don't realize that their bosses that they don't see are the ones doing that. So they're just buying into a system and they're just following a system. But when you're a business owner, you're in marketing, you're your own agency, you're your own boss, you don't have the pathway. There is no book. I don't give a shit what anybody says. There's no book in the world that you can just open up and it gives you every trick, tool, technique, philosophy, everything you need for success. That's why you invest into people. So instead of investing my time and my energy into a system and getting paid $50,000 a year, I'd rather take the $50,000 salary and invest it into other people's experiences and philosophies and their systems to allow myself to do great things. Now, the other thing you're just saying, which is key, I tell people is, if you have an issue with money, you're never going to close a high ticket offer. If you think $10,000 is too much for your prospect to invest, well, then it's going to be way too much for the prospect to invest. Because it doesn't matter if you say, oh, I say it with confidence, but you don't say it with conviction. And conviction trumps confidence all day. And without the ability, I'm not saying to people, you got to go out and you have to invest $10,000. But I do say to people, you better be willing to invest $10,000. And legitly better be willing to invest $10,000. The reason I can close a $15,000 4-day event is because I paid $20,000 for a 4-day event. The reason why when my prospect says to me and go, $10,000 is a lot of money, and I don't get out of my comfort zone and get all, disgruntled, is because I've been there and I know the fear that they're in. Because $10,000, you're right, Mr. Prospect. It is a lot of money. It's probably more than you want to invest. Doesn't look like we're going to do business today. But just before I get off the phone, why did you call me in the first place? You take them right to the beginning again. Oh, well, and you take them right to the beginning. Most people can't do that. Most people, when I go, it's $10,000, they go, oh, that's a lot of money. Yeah. Isn't that all the reason why you should do this? Isn't that all the reason why you booked a call with me in the first place? I mean, how much longer can you actually go before $5,000 is too much an investment? $1,000 is too much investment? I mean, really, isn't this all the reason why we're having the conversation?
I love that. And then eventually buying groceries this week is too much of an investment.
Yeah, too much. Yeah. And me and you both know we don't want you to get there. And the last thing I want is to want your dream more than you want it. Come on, David. You don't want me to want your dream more than you do you? Because if you do, we got a problem. We should probably talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I've taken them completely off the money because it's not, money is always a resistance. I don't care what anyone says. It's always money. They can give you time, my partner. It always comes down to money. And if you as a closer, you as a business owner, if you have money issues, like if you don't have a relationship with money, you're always going to have resistance. Objections will always come up. Most objections that business owners, or in my case, closers have, are the same objections they have when they buy things. So if you're always telling yourself, I need to think about it, the objection you're always going to get, I never think about it, ever. Nobody ever gives me any, because I never think about it when I'm a buyer. I'm a sapphire, they call personality, right? I'm out there. I just want it. Go, go, go. That's how I sell it. But I sell it in a way with conviction that the thinking about it isn't in the case anymore. It really becomes now this decision, this emotional decision that we have to make today on the phone. Because if you don't make it with me today, thinking about it is not a business plan. Fence sitting doesn't help me or you. And let's just be honest, Mr. Prospect. Usually when people say, I want to think about it, that's their polite way of saying, I'm not interested. Is that the case right now? Oh, no, Kayvon, it's not. Okay, then. So what is it? It's the money, isn't it? Yeah, it's the money. Listen, David. Well, what do you think we can do about that? Well, I don't know, Kayvon. Suppose. I can't make promises, but suppose we can make a couple payment plans, break it up in a couple payment plans. Would that make a world of a difference? Oh, yeah, okay. I never, ever discount price, ever. You discount price.
You either break it up, or do you ever throw in some sort of incentive or bonus item with you, or no?
No, never. I don't know. No. Like the package is the package, whether there's the bonuses you get with the packages, but I do not break up the price. I don't make it cheaper for one person, more expensive. No. It's the set price. If you can't afford it, I've been there. I know what it is. We can talk about payment plans. But I am not going to, there's none of this. No, I will not discount my programs or my prices because that's going to discount my services. I'm not here to be in the discount business. I'm here to be in the result businesses. And you don't ask for a discount on your results.
Yeah, boy, that's a great statement, right? You're not going to ask for a discount on your results, are you?
So I love this when people say, oh, well, is there a discount? Sure. Yeah. Well, what kind of discount do you want? Oh, well, 50% off. Okay, sure. Great. So you wouldn't mind if I give you 50% of the work then, do you?
50% of the work, 50% of the outcomes, 50% of the results.
Exactly. You don't mind that, do you?
Right.
Well, that's what you're asking.
Right. Let me ask you this question, because sometimes if we're selling to a corporate executive, and I guess there's two kinds of sales here, right? The corporate executive buying for him or herself, executive coaching, leadership coaching, career coaching when they want to get the hell out, that's a private sale, even though it's a corporate executive. When the corporate executive, hey, let's do a big $150,000 consulting package, are there some things that you can't sell on a one-call close? Or with the right mindset and the right structure, can you sell anybody if the urgency is enough and if the value is enough?
Most I've closed is $100,000 on a one-call close, right? But when you're talking to corporations, right, you're talking about a big corporate kind of package you're trying to sell. Number one, I always tell people, just remember, you're not selling the corporation. At the end of the day, you're still selling one person. That's it. But that one person has a board that they got to ask. So if you get on a call for the first time ever and you're trying to sell a corporate, say a manager or a CEO, and you're trying to hard close them on one call close, that's a bad idea. Let me just tell you, that's a bad idea. That one might take one or two calls. Maybe it takes 3 calls. It doesn't matter how many calls it takes. All that matters is, are you winning their business? Yes or no? Are you getting them to give you the credit card? I don't care if they say, this sounds good. Let's talk about it in 6 months. No. You know what? I don't want to talk about it in 6 months because I don't know where I'll be in 6 months. And the last thing I want is for you to call me in 6 months and say, Kayvon, we're ready to go. And I have to tell you, I'm not ready to go because I'm working with another corporation. I don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. Just out of curiosity, what's going to happen right now between now and 6 months? Oh, we need time. Time for what? Oh, well, this and that. If you don't mind me saying, it sounds like a lot of reasons, aka excuses of why you don't want to do this. Can we just switch us over for 1 second? Sure, Kip. What are some excuses we can come up with of why we should do this? Because for every excuse I can guarantee we can find one of why we can. So let's cut through this because I want to cut through it. Because right now we're just talking. Yeah. What is it? Is it a question of the value or is it a question of the price? Which one is it? That's it. When people go, Kayvon, what happens if they say value? Great. Do you start justifying your value? Absolutely not. Do you start selling your features? Absolutely not. You ask them one simple question. How do you define value? What does value look like? And then you shut up and you listen. And chances are the value that they're telling you is exactly what you offer.
Super quick commercial break. Isn't this interview amazing? If you'd like to get more ideas on how to start or grow your speaking business fast, pop over to our free training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. I also want to go back to something that you said that I think is so profound, and a lot of lip service is paid to this, but I'll tell you, having done sales and running sales teams, this is the number one missing skill, and you put your finger on it. It's listening. When we say that, you don't talk your way into a sale, you listen your way into a sale, right? How can we develop that listening muscle or that listening DNA? And then how do we use what we hear to have a more profound sales conversation that goes deeper, faster?
Okay, so there's a little bit of two-part question there because it's how do we go into a conversation deeper?
Yeah.
So for me, if we were to take that one, if we go down that one, first one is when you're asking questions, right? There's multiple different questions you can ask, but one of the most effective type of question you can ask in my methodology, which is kind of like the one call closer, it's that higher level, high ticket methodology, is called redirect questions. And a redirect question that's when you ask a question with a question type of thing, right? So someone says, I want to learn how to do one high ticket closing, Kayvon. Oh, well, tell me, why is high ticket closing so important to you right now? Redirect question. But you have to understand that you're asking questions for only really three reasons, okay? First one, you're asking questions for discovery. This usually happens in the beginning to middle of the conversation we need the information fast, the discovery questions. Why are you on the call? What's going on in your business that's made you want to jump on a call with us today? I want to find out why they're there. I'm only going to ask questions for number two reasons, for control. The person asking questions with finesse can direct or lead the conversation to the result faster. Or number three, you're only asking the third question for motivation. Now, the motivation, it could be discovered or it could be created because prospects, we know this buy on logic, especially high ticket, they buy emotion. So you have to ask these questions that are going to get them into more of an emotional state, not a logical state. Now, when it comes to that listening you're talking about, if you're only asking for these three reasons, discovery, control, and motivation, the questions you're asking they got to be finesse, but they also got to lead the conversation to the end result. You will never find the right answers if you're not listening. High ticket selling isn't the 80-20 rule. High ticket selling is the 90-10. 90% the prospect speaking, 10% you as a closer, you're speaking. And what you're speaking is asking the right questions. Now, let's go deeper here, David. How do we go deeper quicker? Well, you got to understand there's three levels of pain. We talk about this, right? People are not booking the call unless they're in some sort of pain. Now, people always think like pain, like this emotional pain or spiritual pain. We're talking about a financial pain. We're talking about a system pain. Whatever it is you're selling, there's some sort of pain, agony there's happening in their business. Some business owners don't even realize it's there. So as a good closer, you got to make sure you got to find that. But for me, I always say there's three levels of those, like kind of this emotional pain. Number one is surface level. So David, I know you're a big marketer. People call you all the time and say, my marketing doesn't work. I can't get my Facebook ads to work. Now, you and I both know if you only sold on trying to help them on their Facebook ads, would you be able to close a $10,000, $15,000 package?
No,
not a chance. Level two pain is that business kind of financial pain. So now, David, as a result, my Facebook ads aren't working. I can't get on stage. Now I can't pay my marketing fees. I can't pay my employees. Can we sell on that? Usually, yeah, we could. That's okay. Like we can do a pretty good job there. But David, now, as a result, of your marketing and your Facebook ads just not working because you haven't got the copy right. You can't connect to your audience. And as a result, we're not driving those sales and the revenue. So now you don't even know if you can pay the bills. The Facebook, you can't even pay 10 grand in Facebook ads. So you can't even get to the audience you want. How's this affecting your life at home? Because David, I mean, the one thing I do know, and if you don't mind me saying in business, is your business is a direct reflection of who you are on the inside. And it's also a reflection of your personal life. And usually the people whose businesses are out of control, the entrepreneur themselves is out of control. So where in your life is this happening as well? Maybe with your wife, your kids, your relationships. How long has it been going on? Do you think we can have a serious conversation now that transcends far deeper than my marketing is not working?
Are these coaching skills, or how would you, because these are not traditional sales skills, do we coach people with these questions and the listening and the callbacks?
It's funny you say that because there's different types of, sales. I sometimes there's a consultative kind of sale approach, right? There's a coaching kind of, there's the authority sale where you do very little talking and you set it up and you use your tonality, never changes. And it's very like that. I personally my natural state when I went into high ticket closing, because I was always closing kind of B2C more. So these are people wanting greater things in life. I use more of a coaching kind of sales approach, which only comes out when it needs to. Not because I have to, not because I know it works. Again, when we talked about, let's go back to the beginning for a second here. Remember I said, do you want me to just go? And you're like, we're going to wind you up and this is me. And I love it. But you said at the beginning, Kayvon, one of the things you heard about me is integrity. This is where it comes in. I don't use the idea that I know I can go to someone's personal pain. I don't use that to get the sale so I can get my commission. I use that because I believe that that's my roadmap to connect to them so that I can really understand what their problem is so I can provide them with the right solution. Sometimes the right solution isn't my solution. And guess what? I will not ever let anyone buy something off of me that isn't the right thing for them. I've been there, done that. Like, when I grew up on the hard goods, when you're doing low ticket items, who gives a shit? But when you're asking people to invest 10, 15K, sometimes this is their life savings. Sometimes this is all they have. Shame on you. Shame on you if you've ever think that you can take someone's money and not actually be able to put them on a path that serves them. And when I mean serves them, that gives them the tools, the roadmap, the steps, the resources to get them to where they want to go. Now, I do have this place in my heart where I'm totally content with. It's not my fault if they don't show up. And I tell them this. I say, you're going to show up. You're going to be committed. You're going to be resourceful. You're going to be decisive. Because I cannot come to your house Monday morning and get you out of bed. That I can promise you I can't do. And if you're expecting someone to do that, then this isn't the program for you. Right. But if this is the time where you're going to get out and you're going to do the work, you're going to, that's what I always say, you're going to listen and you're going to ask the right questions. You will be successful. That I can guarantee. But I can't guarantee your hard work. I can't guarantee you're going to show up. And the most important thing I can't guarantee, when it gets tough, and believe me, it will get tough, you're going to keep going. And I now just humanized it.
Yeah. No, a lot of salespeople, though, they sugarcoat and they don't tell the client or the prospect that, by the way, this isn't going to be easy. This is going to get hard. You're going to hit some obstacles and roadblocks. We're going to be here at every step to help you, guide you, give you some, resources, compass, roadmap, GPS.
But David, if I say it's hard, then they won't want to buy from me. Good. They shouldn't. That means they're the wrong prospect. Because if they think it's going to be easy, you're selling a dream. And you can only sell a dream for so long before you get exposed. And I don't want to get into it, but you and I both know there's a lot of people out there selling a dream. They're doing very well. But that kingdom will break. It will come down. And the bigger the kingdom, the harder that fall is going to be.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Well, one of the key questions that I always ask people is, what are you going to do when this gets hard? I literally ask that question. What are you going to do when this gets, because they're all excited. Oh, this is perfect. This is awesome. This is what I want. This is what I need. I say, okay, all right, I got it. That's great. But let me ask you a tough question. what kind of person are you when the going gets tough? When you hit an obstacle, when you hit a dip, when you get sidetracked, when things start to blow up a little bit, how do you typically respond? And they go, well, why are you asking me that? I said, because parts of this program, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
They go, really? I said, yeah, really. There's no magic beans. There's no silver bullets. There's no tooth fairy. So I just want to ask you right here, right now, what do you do when things get hard? Do you throw up your hands and give up? Or do you double down? Do you ask for help? Do you get resourceful? You use that magic word. I love that word, resourceful. Do you reach out for more help? Will I hear from you or will you disappear? Because some clients, they disappear when things get hard. And you're like, hey, what happened to Sally? Sally was here 2 weeks ago and I haven't seen Sally in 3 sessions. Things got hard and she disappeared out of shame.
Disappeared out of shame is a whole other conversation.
Hold on. We got to have you back, dude. This has been so fantastic. I'm going to ask you 2 final questions.
Oh, I love it.
The final question is, how do people
where are we going, man? We're just getting started.
I know. I'm telling you, we're going to have you back. We're totally going to have you back. But for now, my second question, not the first one, the second question is going to be, how do people get connected and stay connected to the Kayvon empire? First question before that is, if people were to take one key concept from our conversation today, what would you hope that would be?
And that would be, if you're selling high ticket over the phone, you got to remember that you're a doctor. You have the solution to other people's problems. If you don't quite understand what that means, I want you just to, after this, think about, how does your doctor work with you or react with you when you're with him in the private office? Are they excited? Are they overselling? Are they zealous? Or are they usually neutral? They're usually asking you qualifying questions to get to the problem fast and then offering you the solution. Act like an expert and you'll have more sales than you've ever imagined.
Awesome. All right. How do people get more Kayvon into their life? What can we offer? We're going to hook this up in the show notes when people go to thespeakingshow.com. What do we want people to take away from you, my friend? Gifts,
I want you to go to Kayvon.com. It's Kayvon.com. From there, you can get connected to all my social and everything. But if you are really listening and you're saying, I want more, and you're thinking you could want to do a full day immersion with me, I'm putting on a live event where more of it's a Zoom event, but we're going to be working all day, only 10 people. And I'm going to be actually taking 2 decades of sales experience, and I want to be doing it in 2-day immersion. That's Kayvon.com/salesbeast. Kayvon.com/salesbeast. You and I are going to work one-on-one. This isn't an audio program. This isn't a recorded program. This is a live session with me.
Awesome. And you do this a couple times a year, or is this like a new offering?
Yeah, I do this a couple times a year for a small group of people. Now, David, let me ask you, because I always get that question, how can we help you, Kayvon? Well, let me ask you, is there anything I can do for you, David?
Wow, what a fan. Here we are. The recording is still live. This is the real deal here, folks. Well, so a couple of things. Number one, the moment this podcast goes live, do what we do, which is shout it from the rooftops and tell everybody to get their butt onto the Kayvon interview on thespeakingshow.com. And other than that, maybe, think of 1 or 2 awesome guests that we could have on, but kind of go through the Kayvon personal Rolodex. And are there other smart people in your circle that would like to share their message like you did so brilliantly?
Absolutely. I got a lot of those. I can help you out there.
All right. Well, my friend, this has been fantastic. It's Kayvon.com/salesbeast. All the other Kayvon goodies are at Kayvon.com, Kayvon.com. We're going to tag all those in the show notes. If you're listening in your car, download, subscribe. Sorry, you're going to have to listen to this one again when you're back at your home office, because you'll need a pad and a pen and a notebook, and you'll be taking 17 pages of notes like I have. So, Kayvon, thank you, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, David.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.